my phone had a tragic accident, so I'm using a different phone, and I just had to agree to my own chat rules. Hi! Yeah, so I was painting these doors that are for our outside shed, and I was listening to podcasts on my phone, and I dropped my phone into the paint. Yay! No, not yay. Yeah, and then because I was super smart about it, I like panic rushed the sink and washed it off in water. Happy cast day! Howdy, howdy, howdy! Hi guys! So nice to have you all here. Yay! Yeah, so my phone is dead. It's hopefully getting revived by the repair shop, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like my phone's way too disposable. It shouldn't be. Yeah, how's everybody's week? How's it all going? Thanks, Tiki Maher. Yeah, it's at a repair shop. We'll see. But yeah, boo. I, this week, had a crazy experience. I locked myself in my office from Friday through Monday and worked nonstop on my website, on a Patreon campaign, on all of these marketing tools that I've wanted to be able to bring to Punch Life Back. And I just had this amazing experience where time stopped and I just got a shit ton done. So guys, my website, it's live now, and I have a Patreon campaign. It's super exciting. So yeah, there's more ways now to connect with me. If you want to check it out, it's punchlifeback.com. It is there. You can now email me much easier. You can just go there and use the form. Yeah, my ability to be productive is, it's not always there. This was a magical, mysterious moment I had in my life where I was just able to, I don't know, just buckle down. Yeah, I will definitely post the URL in chat. Good. I don't know how to say your handle. Tynatam. Okay. It's taking me a long time to type. There you guys go. Yeah, so, I'm sure there's some kinks in there. So what you could do is if you find something or you break something, please let me know how you broke it so I can improve it. Yay. Yeah, and there was this this interesting thing that happened that I think is not uncommon. So, like I said, I locked myself in my office and magical things happened, and Friday turned into Monday and I got all this stuff done. And then I went back and I looked at it, and the video I made for my Patreon page, I 150% believe everything I'm saying. I feel it, it's I connect to it, but in that moment at the end of this tunnel vision of magic, looking at the final result, I had so much judgment. I was like, whoa, that is some lofty, ridiculous shit that I'm trying to do. And kind of who are you to do this? And so I had all this judgment come up, and and what I realized about that is of course I did, because what I was looking at was the summary of the mission that I'm on and what it means to me, and it's me living more authentically than I ever have before, because I'm putting myself out there, truly myself, everything's in alignment. I really believe this. I'm putting it out there, and there's no more hiding for me. I can't hide anymore. And so of course I was feeling really uncomfortable, and of course I was coming up with all of these, hi Upright Oracle, all of these judgments, right? That if I'm telling myself this, that's what I'm expecting people that don't get it, don't click with what I'm doing. I know they're gonna look at what I'm saying and be like, wow, she's naive. And I'm not. I'm optimistic. There's a difference. Optimistic, not naive. But anyways, so I had all those like things, right? And this is why I'm bringing it up, because it all boils down to kind of a life lesson I learned a while ago, which was like one of the ways you know you're being authentic is not everybody's gonna like you. Right? And that makes sense, because when you're not authentic, you're usually trying to people please or conform. You don't want to be the sore thumb that sticks out. So when you finally start like living by your values, sharing what's important to you, like going after things that are important to you, when you start living this kind of like heroic journey, not everybody's gonna like you, but the people who do are gonna fucking love you. Love you, love you, love you. So yes, Upright Oracle, you're one of my kindred spirits for sure. We speak the same language all the time. I knew you would feel me, which is why I'm sharing this. Cause yeah, I feel like a vulnerable little baby right now with that. I'm super excited about it, but with the website and Patreon up, I am a vulnerably exposed warrior. Yes, amen. So how I got through it, I remembered this life lesson, and then my muse for being authentic is Freddie Mercury from Queen. I am a huge fan, and so I started, I all of a sudden saw him, and I heard him doing Don't Stop Me Now, where he's like, don't stop me now, I'm having such a good time, and he's like, traveling at the speed of light. Anyways, you gotta listen to the song. I can't do it justice, obviously, but the whole idea is he's traveling at the speed of light, he's gonna make a supersonic woman or man out of you, and yeah, like, I wanna be authentic like Freddie too. Yeah. Hi, the Mrs. Scott Evans! You're here too, woo-hoo-hoo! Yeah, and the other thing that came to mind too was Theodore Roosevelt's speech, the man that's commonly called the man in the arena. I'm sure you've probably all have heard it. But the takeaway from that Brene Brown has that I really love is, like, it's not the critic who counts, right? It's the person in the arena. It's the person actually doing, like, fighting for their values, all that kind of stuff that I'm talking about. And the only critic that Brene Brown is interested in is the critic who's also in the arena, in their own arena. And everybody else, she just does her best to ignore. So, I don't know, some food for thought that I got from my life this week. Yeah, oh, what? And the other thing is I finished a new coaching certification. I am now an Energy Leadership Index Master Practitioner. What? That sounds so fancy schmancy pants. And it kind of is, but I'm excited about it, and it means that I can do this really cool assessment now that, like, basically helps diagnose or enlighten people's worldviews, so that then as a coach I can go in there and we can find all of the areas where your worldview is really holding you back and limiting you. A word of caution, though, at the end of that process, you may be like me, and you may be incredibly vulnerable and living authentically, and I wouldn't want it any other way, but there is a downside to being authentic, which is not everybody's going to like you. Yeah, so that's kind of my good news. So I don't know, what about you guys? What kind of good news have you had this week? I think I still have the music going. I had to turn the music down when I was trying to sing Don't Stop Me Now. Yay, Upright Oracle, thank you, whoa. I really need to figure out how to reduce the lag time between me. Yay, worked out each day! Tiki Meher, way to go! Upright Oracle's working out right now. She's bowing. Bowing to the master. Yeah, I think I have to be affiliate first to really reduce the lag time. And maybe partners get to do it even more. But I hate it. I understand that it's kind of necessary. But I feel disconnected from you guys. Okay, the vulnerability hangover. Yes, that is such a good, like, yeah, it's a total, like, walk of shame, vulnerability hangover. Such a good way to say that. Yeah, ugh. Yeah. Really, 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 really good. Thank you guys for being here. I love seeing you guys. I'm just like staring at chat so you get to see the side of my face. Yeah, so I don't know, like we can jump right in. I wanted to like just have like a, you know, like a regular like exploration, but to do it since I just became really, really lofty in my business. And in what I'm doing with Twitch, I figured why not continue the loftiness and talk about the meaning of life today. Yeah. And this is obviously something that mankind has been exploring probably since the very beginning. I don't know what cavemen explored, but I would assume that in the wee quietness of the cave at night when they finally got to sleep, maybe they were thinking about this too, if they had any downtime whatsoever. I'm not sure they did. Yeah, so what I did is I've always been interested in this topic, but what I did recently is I've read some more books, and I really dug like into a little bit about, really not a little bit, but really where our modern research is on meaning from, and this is out of psychology and also what modern philosophical thinking is. So I did my best to like kind of wrap it all up and take this huge lofty ideal, huge lofty question and break it down for today. So yeah, so there's not much we know yet about meaning. But we do know that humans thrive when they have it, and they wither when they don't. So that much is at least known. And our brains are literally meaning-making machines. So that's their purpose, right? They're making meaning out of all of the data that's coming in. And the key takeaway from that is that you, and you alone, are capable of giving your life meaning and purpose. It really is as direct and simple as that. So it's coming from within. It's not really coming from without. And I think this is important, like an important modern thought, because really before now, people were always looking for it outside of themselves. And oftentimes that came from religion. And indeed, I'm not saying that you can't get meaning from religion. You truly can. But it's not... Modern thinking is suggesting that we look inside to create the meaning from our life, and that we draw it from lots of sources, that we don't let somebody else prescribe it to us. So, yeah, I am going to keep looking at chat. Seeing if you're asking me anything. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, so the modern thinking on this really all started with a man named Viktor Frankl. And he was an Austrian psychologist, and he was a neuroscientist. And he wrote, crap, I don't have it anymore, A Man's Search for Meaning. And here's, okay, so Viktor Frankl, I just was like, oh, this is who he was. No, that did not do him justice. He survived, I think, 5 concentration camps, guys, during World War II. 5, including Auschwitz. This man went through one of the worst experiences in history. And so I'm going to do quite a few quotes from him, because he is full of this modern notion that we create our meaning. And he discovered it it was something that he learned from his experience in the concentration camps. So he says that everything can be taken from a man but one thing: the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way. So, in other words, he discovered that under the worst conditions, life could still have meaning for a person, because they could choose how to respond. Or, in other words, we can give our meaning, our suffering meaning, by the way we respond to it. So if we can create meaning out of the worst of circumstances, then perhaps it's true that we can create meaning, period. And indeed, modern research says, yeah, that's right, we can. So that meaning doesn't exist outside of ourselves, but it is really something that we're responsible for creating. So let's see, I got some chatty chat. Tiny Tom says, how do you balance the need to provide financially for those you love and the desire to do something with your working life that you feel has meaning? Okay, that is a totally understandable question. And unfortunately, there's no easy answer to this. I am going to, towards the end of my blurb here, go into a formula for creating meaning that I think is probably the most direct way to to look at how you're making money and see if you can how to generate more meaning maybe out of what you're currently doing, or even if you're going to change directions, how to change directions in a way that you're likely to meet with more success, or to help increase your odds of success. So I will definitely get to that. That is a huge question. If I somehow forget that you've asked it, yell, because I really do want to address it when I get to that point. So an example of taking a bad situation and creating meaning out of it is that comes from Viktor Frankl. Is that an old man an old man has been married to his wife for many, many, many years, and she passes away, and he goes to the doctor, and he's basically just a horrible mess in his suffering over the loss of his wife. And the doctor asks him basically, what if you had died and it's her that had survived? Like, that was what the man was bemoaning. He's like, oh, I wish I had died first, or I had died too. And the man responded, well, then she would be the one suffering my loss. And so the doctor was like, oh, so by surviving her, you're actually saving her from this suffering. And the man found immense meaning and relief in that belief. So his suffering became noble to him, that it was something that he decided to embrace and take on for her benefit, which I think is pretty beautiful. So that's one example. So here's the big quote from Viktor Frankl. Ultimately, man should not ask what the meaning of his life is, but rather must recognize that it is he who is asked. In a word, each man is questioned by life, and he can only answer to life by answering for his own life. To life, he can only respond by being responsible. Whoa. Yeah, that was like the quote that launched 1,000 ships, and now we're at our modern thinking of what meaning is, which is it's something we can create, and it comes from within. Joseph Campbell, who I also love, a mythology expert, also passed away. I have a couple quotes from him that feed directly into this as well. He says, life has no meaning. Each of us has meaning, and we bring it to life. It is a waste to be asking the question when you are the answer. I just think it's so profound, and I love it. Love it. Another one from him, and this I think gives us a little hint into when we know we're on the right track with meaning, or what's meaningful to us. He says, the crucial thing to live for is the sense of life in what you are doing. And if that is not there, then you are living according to other people's notions of how life should be lived. Whew. All right. Okay, so Tiki Meher, I'm going to read the first quote by Joseph Campbell again. He says, life has no meaning. Each of us has meaning, and we bring it to life. It is a waste to be asking the question when you are the answer. And then the second one, which I just think gives me shivers, is the crucial thing to live for is the sense of life in what you are doing. And if that is not there, then you are living according to other people's notions of how life should be lived. So this gets at, I think, at passion a little bit, don't you think? That if there's not this sense of aliveness in what you're doing, and this goes maybe back to the job question, if there's not a sense of aliveness, then it's going to be harder to find meaning there, potentially. I have something that I'm going to mute the music. And then take us somewhere fun. Let's see. Yes. I got us a little gem from the movies of my childhood to watch. Enjoy.
Now that's great. Your life makes sense to you. What's so funny?
You city folk, you worry about a lot of shit, don't you?
Shit.
Yeah.
My wife basically told me she doesn't want me around.
Is she a redhead?
Well, I'm just saying.
How old are you? 38.
39.
Yeah. You all come off here about the same age, same problems. Spend about 50 weeks a year getting knots in your rope, and then you think 2 weeks up here'll untime for you. None of you get it. Do you know what the secret of life is?
No, what?
This.
Your finger?
One thing. Just one thing. You stick to that and everything else don't mean shit.
That's great, but what's the one thing?
That's what you gotta figure out.
What? So what? Okay, guys. Uh-oh, I've lost you. Hold on. All right. What movie was that? Yeah. I love that movie when I was a kid. City Slickers. Yes, City Slickers. The Mrs. Evans. Yeah, so, yeah, I remember as a kid being like, oh, what is it? Like, what is it and how do I figure it out? What? No, I love about that is that he says that's what you have to figure it out. That, yeah, City Slickers was on to modern thinking about the meaning of life. I just think it's ridiculous and I love it. I love it. Yeah. So how do we then, what does modern research say about creating meaning? So it's something that we can find in the world around us, and it's something that we create or uncover. It's our own unique sense of meaning. So it's something that is intensely personal, and it's different for literally everybody. And again, that we flourish when we have it, and we really suffer when we don't. And like why? Like why do we suffer when we don't have it? And the way that I started to think about this is I go, okay, well, what happens when we don't have a sense of meaning? And I think what typically happens, and let me know, guys, if you think I'm full of crap here, but when we don't have meaning, we tend to feel unsatisfied, like we feel like something's missing. We don't have that sense of life, that feeling of life and excitement that Joseph Campbell was talking about. And like, while we may not be able to pinpoint that it's a meaning we're missing, we do feel its absence. And we want to fix it, right? Like, it makes sense. Like, it doesn't feel good. So to fix it, we tend to do things like jump right into our consumer culture, and we buy things thinking that that's what's going to bring us happiness. That's what's going to bring us meaning. Sometimes we use drugs. Like, we can use anything to try to fill this void, like food, sex, binge watching, like my favorite thing to do. Yeah, right. Like, all of these things that on their own aren't bad, but when we use it as a way to try to fill the meaning void, often become very destructive. And so if we focus instead on, like, when we feel that way, if we focus instead on creating meaning in our lives, I think we'll engage in those, like, potentially destructive actions less, and we're going to actually find lasting happiness. Whereas those destructive things, we all know, like, it doesn't lead to any sort of lasting happiness. There's two guys, Joshua and Ryan. They're the minimalists. They have the minimalist.com. they're really cool, and I recently found them, and I'm reading their book now. But they're really great at describing how our consumer culture they're just really great at exploring how we often use consumption to fill this void of meaning to no lasting effect, no lasting success. So if that's something that you're interested in, I recommend them, the minimalist.com. You can't convince me that chocolate does not fill a void in my stomach and my soul. So I am not saying that. I am not saying that. Chocolate can absolutely do that temporarily, but I think now I wouldn't say that chocolate can't be the meaning of somebody's life, because I met an amazing chocolatier in Belgium, and he was clearly, like, his chocolate was art, and it was filling his soul in a huge, lasting happiness kind of way. Now I just want chocolate. Thank you for that. Yeah. So how do we take responsibility, and how do we create our own meaning, since it's up to us? So one of the things that Frankl said that I also like is, he said, for the meaning of life differs from man to man, from day to day, and from hour to hour. What matters, therefore, is not the meaning of life in general, but rather the specific meaning of a person's life at a given moment. So yes. This chocolatier, what was he called? I think maybe it was yuzu chocolates, or I'm just remembering that flavor, which is quite possible. He's in Ghent, and it's not a giant city, so he may be the only famous chocolatier in Ghent. Totally worth going to Belgium just for that. What he does is he took his inspiration from Asian culture and Asian cuisine. So each of his little chocolates are a little work of art, and the flavors are things like yuzu chocolate, or the 5 Chinese spices. They're just so unique, and yeah, chocolate, so good. Yeah, so we really can create. I love that I'm bouncing between chocolate and then like this huge thing about creating meaning out of anything, right? But yeah, we can create meaning out of anything, and therefore it changes as we change, and it even sometimes can change moment to moment. So this is super powerful, guys, because it's something that can't be destroyed or broken. And that goes right back to what Viktor Frankl was saying, is that you can't take away this. Like, you can take away everything from somebody, but you can't take away their ability to create meaning and find meaning in even the worst or best of circumstances. And that's really empowering. So yeah, again, you guys, meaning then is intensely personal. And we tend to look for it, from, like I said, from an outside source or like one source. But in truth, it can come from so many different things, thinking about like earlier we were talking about like the meaning in work, meaning in family. There's, of course, meaning in love, and it can come from religion. It can come from personal projects like what I'm doing on Twitch. I am getting a ton of meaning and that feeling of life out of streaming, which is why I keep doing it. Yeah, and you can find meaning in not just the positive experiences, but also in negative experiences. So some of the major positive experiences that people tend to find a lot of meaning in are things like, and these are like kind of no-brainers, but it's things like falling in love or having a kid. It's maybe a reconciliation with someone that's important. Any of our big life-altering decisions can be really rich playgrounds for building meaning. Really loving people and receiving love in return, that tends to be incredibly meaningful for us. We are social creatures. But then again, like, we can get it out of minor positive experiences. So, coming home to your pets. I love my dogs. They like, coming home to them gives me so much so much meaning. Expressing or receiving gratitude, really taking in a sunrise or a flower, anything that, is awe-inspiring and beautiful. Quitting something that makes you unhappy. Yes, that can give you tons of meaning. And spontaneity. Having spontaneous moments, getting outside of your head and being present, being in the present can generate so much meaning. And so I think what's coming up here for me in thinking about the minor positive experiences is it goes right back to our gratitude. And that's like one of our power-ups, right? And it's one of those things where it's like, wow, like literally the feeling of gratitude that we're all capable of generating can fill our meaning, or can go a long way to helping fill our sense of meaning and purpose in life. And that's really cool. It's about appreciating then what already exists in your life and letting that help you find meaning. So going back to that question about balancing the need to make money with also a desire to have meaning in life, money so you can support your family, and yet still have meaning and not sacrifice your meaning. This is maybe one of those ways where if you feel like you're really trapped in a job that isn't fulfilling you, that you can begin to shift that, and you can just begin to challenge yourself to find moments of gratitude, to find moments of spontaneity. And I've just realized I killed the music and I haven't brought it back to you guys. So yeah, I love that question, by the way. It's really feeding this. Thank you for it. So then also, like Franco was mentioning, really getting meaning out of our negative experiences is also very, very powerful. So some of the biggest negative experiences that can be rich opportunities for meaning creation or the loss of a loved one, losing a job, going through a natural disaster, having a near-death experience, that's changed people for sure. And really experiencing any sort of trauma, guys. So like getting diagnosed with like a terminal or a debilitating disease, right? Like the big bads, the big baddies. Okay, so here's the part that I was hinting at earlier. So Martin E.P. Seligman, who's pretty much the father of positive psychology, he has a really simple way of, it's kind of a simple formula for creating meaning in our life that I'm gonna share right now. Yes, so he says that if you take your core values and your character strengths and you use them in service as something greater than yourself, you're gonna experience and create a profound level of meaning in your life. Yeah, so I've cast about core values and I've cast about character strengths. So hopefully these are somewhat familiar to you guys. I'll go over them really quick, but core values are the values that you hold very deeply that when you don't have them, your life doesn't work. So for me, that's connection, adventure, integrity, and vitality. Those are my four really big ones. When I don't have them, my life doesn't work. When I have them, I tend to feel really authentic, and I start to have a sense like a part of my meaning is being created and answered. And then the character strengths are you can take a test and find out what your character strengths are, but these are 24 universal human virtues that Dr. Seligman found with his companion. I can't remember his name, but they did a bunch of research and found that across all cultures there were 24 human traits that were considered virtuous and that were something to be sought after. And there's a test you can do to find out what your top 5 are, which means that you have 5 of them that you are very, very, very strong at, that you that you are very powerful at and very, very adept at using. And so if you, and the basis is if you start using those character strengths consciously in your life, and like applying them to the things that you struggle with, or applying it to really anything in your life that you want to have more success in, you are going to meet with more and more success because you're using your strengths. You're coming from a place of power instead of a place of weakness. And that not only starts to increase the positivity in your life, but it also, you start to get a sense of just how powerful you are, and that you are capable of creating meaning. You are capable of answering yes to the calling that you hear, or you're going to be hearing soon. So yeah, I hope I'm making sense, guys. Let me know if I'm not. But and then the thing here too is that you use them in service of something greater than yourself. And that seems to be important, because when we're trapped in thinking about ourselves all the time, it's hard to find happiness in that place, because we're hypercritical, and it just doesn't seem to create much happiness or meaning when we're focused on ourselves all the time. And yet, or another way to say it is, when we can transcend our ego and get beyond ourselves, that's when we start to see things like gratitude. And that's when like pure joy hits us, and we experience it, and we don't attach onto it and try to make it into anything, and we start experiencing all these things without controlling them. And there's a huge sense of meaning and purpose in that. And certainly, like, because you're doing something, because you're dedicating yourself to something larger than you, that is often going to involve other people, and you're going to experience, you'll just be more generous, you'll experience love probably more often, and all of that comes back at you in the form of meaning. So a couple thoughts in terms of like how to make enough money in a way that's meaningful and fulfilling. If you're in a job that you don't like, right, that isn't fulfilling you, it may be that ultimately you decide to leave and find a more fulfilling opportunity, right? Or maybe you're going to become an entrepreneur and create that opportunity, whatever form that takes for you. Until that decision is, and a lot of people make that decision maybe too quickly, because they erroneously think that a new opportunity or the next job is going to fix all of the problems. And that's not true if that person hasn't addressed themselves at all. If they're not clear on their values and they're not clear on their strengths, chances are they're just going to find themselves repeating the same kind of negative job experience. And that goes, for being an entrepreneur too. So the more self-awareness you have, I think the higher likelihood of making the transition choice at the right time becomes. So that's just kind of my 2 cents on it. Something that I read from Dr. Seligman too is, no matter what your job is, you can create meaning out of it by transforming the way you think about it so that it is in service of something greater than yourself. So I think maybe the example he used was of a janitor, which is typically a job, you guys, that like nobody appreciates. They're in there cleaning up vomit. Like it sounds like a really miserable job, and yet he met this janitor who was incredibly happy being a janitor, and it's because he told himself that what he was doing was making the world more beautiful, and his method of doing it was cleaning it. But he truly and genuinely, to the core of who he was, believed what he was saying. Like, he created that as his meaning, and it elevated his job to the level of a mission or a calling. I don't think I personally would succeed at doing that with that particular job, but you know, but he did. And so whatever your job is, if you're not super happy about it, and if it's not filling up your sense of meaning, just ask yourself, is there a way to look at it that you really like can honestly say that, oh, this is how I'm helping, you know, make the world better, or this is how I'm, you know, helping these people, or whatever that service of something larger than yourself is to you. That is one way of really shifting your current job and maybe finding that meaning in it, and no longer being tempted to look elsewhere because you now have it. So that's another thought. What else did I want to say about that? I guess I could take an idea from the minimalists, which is, and this is like, I don't know, this is I'm just spitballing here, but I think in general because of the way our culture is set up, where there's this American dream, and we all see a standard of living that is crazy making, right? Like, it's so unattainable for the vast majority of people. But the result is we're like holding ourselves up to the standard of living that maybe isn't very, very powerful for us, maybe doesn't serve us very well. So the minimalists, they're like, yeah, of course you have to make money, right? We all have to have a roof over our head. We have to eat. We have to, if we have kids, we're responsible to them. We have to have health care, right? But that doesn't mean we have to have all the trappings of the American dream. We can live in smaller homes. We can downsize. We can buy less. We can consume less and make our money go much further. And if you're in a position where you're able to do that, like really cut back on your expenses and live a more minimal life that way, then you may be able to change jobs to one that's more meaningful, that pays less, right? Because sometimes really meaningful jobs, they don't pay very much. Or maybe it's enough that you're able to become an entrepreneur and, you know, do something like I'm doing and create your meaning and have it build revenue for you that way. Yeah, so there's so many ways to go about it, which is the opportunity and the challenge there. Okay. So I touched a little bit on, so your core values and your character strengths in the service is something greater than yourself. So as an example, I'll share a little bit more about me. As I mentioned, my values are connection, adventure, integrity, and vitality. My mission, right? My service is I'm making the world a better place by creating unstoppable heroes. And I'm dedicated, and I'm doing that because I'm dedicated to unlocking the potential of my generation. And I'm using Twitch to do it. So I'm making it accessible to everybody. I'm taking my resiliency life coaching and I'm making it accessible to everybody in order to take my generation and turn them into unstoppable heroes. I told you it was lofty. It's really lofty. But that's what what gets me up in the morning, with that sense of life and that excitement, and it connects me so much. It's a complete expression of my values. Connection. Hello guys. Hi, I'm here. I'm connected to you, right? In a really huge way. And adventure. Every stream, I have no idea what's gonna happen. No idea. It's terrifying and it's wonderful because I love that stuff. Integrity. I'm showing up exactly as I am with what I believe, and my integrity helps keep this cast authentic. So that's important. And my vitality. Like, I just feel super zesty about life when I'm involved with you guys. So then my character strengths, my top 5 are love, bravery, hope, curiosity, and forgiveness. So love, that goes right to, it feeds into my ability to connect with people. I truly care about you guys, you know, like I do. And it's kind of ridiculous, but that's, you know, because I don't know you beyond Well, some of you I do, but I don't know everybody beyond Twitch, right? I haven't met you in person yet. And yet, because of who I am and because my strength is love, like, I love you. Like, I truly care about you and I want you to do really well. And I feel loved back, even if you're sitting there, like, trolling me in your head. Like, it doesn't matter because my strength is love, right? So that, like, gives me armor to be a streamer. Bravery, yeah, I mean, that's kind of self-explanatory, but the adventure of streaming calls on my bravery. And same thing with coaching. I have to be really, really brave to be a coach. And I just meet my clients totally where they're at without kind of like an improvisation. I meet them like without pre-planning or anything so that what comes out of a session can be really helpful. Hope, I would not be doing this if I wasn't hopeful about the future and if I didn't think that Punch Life Back was capable of succeeding. Curiosity keeps me learning and connecting with you guys and like really truly being curious with how you're receiving what I'm saying, what you guys want out of this cast, all that kind of stuff. Forgiveness, well, yeah, that one doesn't fit as well, except I'm gonna make a lot of mistakes. I'm gonna keep fucking up because I'm really, really public. And that forgiveness is gonna be super crucial for my resiliency to keep going and to get back up and stream again. So I hope that helps you see how, at least it's how one person has taken their core values and their character strengths and how there's so much synergy between the two, right? Like, I think that's like the bravery feeding into the integrity, the connection and the love, the hope to the adventure, the connection, like it's all like, to me, it feels all part of a whole. And I hope you can kind of see how they work together and then how I've taken that and I've found a mission. I found a mission, right? Like, I'm helping you, I'm honoring the hero in you and helping you live fearlessly and punch back whenever life knocks you down because I want you to be an unstoppable hero so that together we save the world. Yay! Right? Like, that's it. Like, that is it. And yeah. And that makes me super happy and brings me so much contentment in life. Even though, like, on the outside looking in, like, I'm not hugely successful yet, right? I'm not even an affiliate on Twitch, right? But that doesn't matter because I've connected with my core and I'm doing something that, like, just because I'm living this and moving towards it, I feel successful. So guys, once you get to this place, like, it's sweet. It's fucking sweet. And each of you are totally capable of having meaning in your life and being an unstoppable hero. So yeah, I feel a little self-conscious. I'm talking about myself a lot today. So anyways, hopefully that's okay. I'm checking in with you, chat. Oh, nope. I just clicked the wrong button and now I've lost you. No. Gosh, what do I do? Okay. Hey, I did figure out how to do the dark mode. That was helpful. Oh no, now I'm watching somebody else. Okay, I pushed my big red shiny button. Okay, I'm back. I'm almost back. Stream chat. Cool. Okay, now I'm checking in. All right, I've lost all your messages though, so. Yay, Upright Oracle. Okay, so I want to now, like, take what we've been saying about meaning and redirecting it to the idea of the hero's journey, right? Because just because I love it. So we all start at home, right? Where it's super, super safe. But then we start to hear a call to adventure. And that's our opportunity to create or find our meaning. That calling that we have is our meaning. Like, our subconscious is creating the meaning and trying to speak it to your conscious brain, right? It's something that you're generating in yourself without even being aware that you're generating it. So it is a super rich opportunity to latch onto it and like dig in and uncover it to discover what creates meaning for you. So this is what Joseph Campbell says Okay, I'll just do it. So if you refuse to go, the call to adventure. So if you refuse to answer the call to adventure, then you are someone else's servant. When this refusal of the call happens, there is a kind of drying up, a sense of life lost. Everything in you knows that a required adventure has been refused. Anxieties build up, and what you have refused to experience in a positive way, you will experience in a negative way. Wow, I can say from my personal experience that this has been true for me. And this goes back to why we don't thrive when we don't have meaning. And I have really truly felt the pain of telling myself no. When I get that call to adventure and I'm feeling that something super meaningful is coming to the forefront of my conscious brain, and I say no. For one fear or another, whatever the reason, it is. There's like the opportunity to have that sense of life is lost. And part of me like feels the like ramifications of that denial, that shutting down. And it's like I took the kid in me and just shamed it or something. It's really, really toxic. Okay. Daddy-o pappy. Hey, I'm in need of some advice. I am currently enrolled in university, but I always find myself skipping to make music. I haven't seen much success in it so far, but making beats and producing music is something I would love to do for the rest of my life. My parents are not very accepting of this, but I feel like I'm wasting my time or money. At the university. Oh man. Okay, Daddy-o pappy. Yeah, this is a huge question. And it makes so much sense that it's coming up for you, right? Because it sounds like you have something that like sparks your joy, which is making music. And yet you are up against, you also have this, the obligation or the need, however you want to phrase it, of finishing your schooling, right? And your parents want you to finish your schooling, and yet you feel this like call to make music. So, like this is one of those things where like only you can make this decision, and it's something that I normally would do like a whole coaching session around, so that I could really help you figure out what it is you want to do. So with that in mind, like this is just advice, and don't let it be the thing that makes up your mind. You make up your own mind. So what comes up for me with this is, and this is truly like I loved school. Okay. So like, I'm a super curious person. I love to learn. So there is value in your education on many, many fronts, some of which is that, like being educated can feed your music. Like when I went to college, I was an actor, and I ended up getting my degree in political science. And I did that because I knew like that liberal arts education would feed my art and make me a better actor. So likewise, like as a musician, like everything becomes your muse. So the more you know about the world, the richer your music can become. So school doesn't have to negate your music. It can be something that feeds it, depending on like what you're studying. And, music is similar to acting in that it's a harder way to make money, to make a living. It's absolutely possible, especially now with the internet. It's easier. It may be years and years and years and years and years before it supports you fully. So it may be, it also may be helpful to finish your degree and use that to get a job that supports your music career while it's taking off and until it can support you financially back. So those are kind of like my cautious perspectives. Only you are gonna know if those are worth listening to. And yeah. And in the bigger scheme of things, like, you really can't make a mistake in life. Because life, in my opinion, is all about growing and learning and changing. So, Yeah, so that also comes to mind. I don't know, Daddy Pappy, is this helping at all? Like, I hope it is. Yeah, so, yeah, so there's such, like, see, that's, like, this is the hard question, right? How do we take, like, Joseph Campbell would have said that the purpose of life is to follow your bliss, right? Like, that's where you find your meaning. Oh, you're so welcome, Daddy Pappy. And thank you, Upright Oracle. Yeah, but Joseph Campbell would say, yeah, your purpose of your life is to follow your bliss. Follow it. Like we just said, like if you refuse your call to adventure, you kind of dry up and die inside, right? That part of you, the potential you that you would have become by going on that adventure is no longer there. Like that potential version of you is gone. But there are so many ways to answer your bliss. There's so many ways to use music as your bliss and have it be a super crucial part of your life. In other words, like, it's not like you're either going to pursue music 100% of the time or you're not, right? Like there's so many degrees there. So many ways to pursue your bliss, and it may be a balance, and there is part of life that it's a balancing act between how much money you need to make so that you're stable, because I'll tell you, like, as an actress, what undid so many of us, like so many of my acting friends, was not having financial stability. Like that creates a huge amount of stress, and any sort of artistic endeavor, any sort of call to adventure is already profoundly stressful, right? Because you're living authentically and you're very, very vulnerable. So, yeah, those are just, I don't know. Those are just my like words of caution, I suppose. And hopefully some words of hope too. Daddy Pappy, you're absolutely capable of living a badass life, and whatever shape it takes. And yeah, I would love to hear some of your beats. So if you could send them, that'd make me super, super happy. Cool. Yeah, so going back, guys, to this, that this call to adventure is our opportunity to create meaning. Viktor Frankl, right, the concentration camp survivor, he also has a cool quote, and he says that everyone has his own specific vocation or mission in life to carry out a concrete assignment which demands fulfillment. Therein, this is the part I love. Therein, he cannot be replaced, nor can his life be repeated. Thus, everyone's task is as unique as is his specific opportunity to implement it. So, this is crucial to like my meaning and why I'm showing up to you guys, because I truly believe that each of you, when you answer your call to adventure and you go on this path of finding your bliss and expressing it, what you give to the world is completely unique. Absolutely nobody else ever, before you, after you today, is capable of creating what you create. So if you don't answer that call to adventure, the world doesn't get that gift. And those are the gifts that are going to make the world a better place, right? They're the gifts that the world is really impoverished when it doesn't get it. So that's why I'm dedicating myself to helping you guys do this process, because I know how important your future gifts are going to be. So I can't, that's something that I just like hits me in the heart, and it resonates with me in such a powerful way. Yeah, okay. So, because I'm a resiliency coach, I want to touch on the resiliency of meaning, and it's fucking huge. So, what we know about setting out on our adventures is that it's exciting. It's that we're going to struggle. We're going to be challenged, that we're going to make sacrifices, right? We're going to feel embarrassment and all those many, 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 many things. And it's all in this service, right, of living like a full and heroic life, right? Of taking our core values and our character strengths and putting them in service of something larger than ourselves. So, meaning creates resiliency and lets you punch back, no matter what. Nietzsche has probably the most famous quote around this, and he says, "He who has a why to live for can bear almost any how." Yeah, he who has a why to live for can bear almost any how. And this is what Frankl discovered, right? He was in the concentration camp. Absolutely everything was stripped away from him. His wife was killed. His family was killed. He had worked on a manuscript for many, many years. That was his like gift that he was giving back to the world. That got confiscated and destroyed. He didn't have it uploaded to the cloud, guys. It was gone. It was completely gone. Like literally everything, all of his human dignities. He didn't know moment to moment if he was going to be murdered. Like just everything was gone. And yet he discovered that as long as he held onto his sense of meaning, he could bear it. He could bear anything that the Nazis did to him. And that's the truth. That's the truth about the indomitable human spirit. That's what we are all. He wasn't special, guys. That's what we're all capable of doing. Yeah. So we can draw meaning from our worst moments, our hardest moments, right? Like our greatest traumas. And it's often in our darkest times that we experience our greatest heroism and our growth. And that the gifts we give out of that journey, those really dark, hard journeys, I think tend to be sometimes the most beneficial to the world. And there's such a thing as post-traumatic growth. And it's people like, so most people, when they experience trauma is like a bell curve, right? I have to look at OBS. Yeah, it's like a bell curve. And most people after trauma like are in the middle. So they bounce back to exactly where they were beforehand. Some people don't bounce back that much and they have things like PTSD. Other people, like, they don't go back to normal. They actually thrive. They thrive after the worst events. These are people who have post-traumatic growth. And one thing that sets them apart is they actually find meaning. They generate meaning out of their worst events. And that helps them thrive afterwards. So, I'm debating giving my own example of this because, fuck it. It's going to be my fuck it bucket thing for the day because it makes me feel really, really vulnerable because, okay, I'll just say it. So, yeah, I lost this finger. And what happened is I was jumping over my fence. My gate was locked, and there was a dog in the street that I was worried was going to get hit by a car. So I jumped over my fence, and hey, beyond repair, meaning of life is giving meaning to life. Yes. That is exactly it. That's exactly it. I love the way you just phrased that. Yeah, we are responsible for creating the meaning in life. We create our own meaning. So yeah, you answer to life with life, so to speak. Yes, beautiful. You got it. Yeah, so I was jumping over the fence and like I literally on the other side, standing on the ground, like the fence was right here. Like my arm was bent, right? Like I wasn't dangling off of it. It was not that tall. And yet my wedding ring caught the top of the fence and popped my finger off. And my finger like flew, turns out like 10 feet up the sidewalk. And yeah, so horrible. And I like went to the emergency. It took them like, I think over 3 hours to give me any painkiller. If things like this, oh, you stole it beyond repair. Well, I still think you're brilliant. Yeah. Who did you steal it from? Because I would like to be able to use it and look at their work. Yeah. So, but like, if this makes you squeamish, just mute me for a second. But what happened was, like, I had bone up to here with like no skin, like the Terminator hand. And Yeah, Daddy Pappy, ER. Part of that was my fault because I like went in there and decided I was gonna get the best care by being super charming. So I was like making jokes, making everybody feel comfortable and like making people like me. And I think they just interpreted that as like I wasn't in that much pain, which is ridiculous because I had no finger and my little bone was sticking out and like, you know. But yeah, it took a long time. I was worried that maybe I would die in surgery. So like I literally like talk about like gratitude, like my character strengths when I retake them, like the hope and gratitude like switch off being one of my top 5. But as I was getting wheeled into the OR, I was looking at my finger that was like in a little container on my lap. And I remember going like, oh, finger, you know, thank you so much for 30 wonderful years. So I like felt tons of gratitude towards my finger as I was getting wheeled into the OR thinking I might die. Like I'm a ridiculous person, guys. But yeah, like that was my reality. And what happened is a very long surgery. The surgeon reattached my finger, and then I was in intensive care for like 5 days or whatever, and I had leeches on my finger. I had leech therapy, and oh yes, Beyond Repair, yes, that guy. He's fascinating because his brain, I think, can't process fear like most of us do. So, but yes, I'm sure, like that's like a whole nother topic off of meaning. Okay, I'm getting distracted. Yeah. My story, yeah, you know, odd thing about trauma is I think the more you share it, the less like post-traumatic stress you have. Like the easier it gets to process. Like, so because we create meaning, right? One of the ways we do that is by telling stories. So me telling my story, like the story of it, I'm fine. The part that I'm getting to is I don't normally share that. And that's where I'm like, I think I'm telling the story so that I don't have to say the part that I'm trying to avoid. But essentially just know that like it was a long recovery. I was kicked out of the ER or the hospital before I was really done with therapy. Turns out that was an insurance thing that they didn't tell me about. I didn't know I wasn't done with therapy, but because of that, I lost my finger. They had to take it off. Totally, like, whatever. So, just a long thing. And then like at home, I had to like come off of all of the, you know, very intensive painkillers and do rehab, and like it's a small amputation and people have been through way worse, but I still like can relate now to what it would be like I had phantom limb, you know, and I still lost like part of me like went into medical waste. Like has died, like my finger literally died on me and had to be removed. So whatever, a lot of details, but here's the part that I've been avoiding, that I'm going to share because it's today and fuck it. So at the time I was still an actress, and that was my mission in life. That's where I was getting all my meaning. And it's like one day during my recovery, I woke up and I just started noticing that the way my brain was thinking about things was totally different. It was a very, very weird experience. It was like something had changed in my subconscious. Like, I basically was like, wow, the only thing that would explain this, because I wasn't like on the super intense drugs anymore. The only thing that would explain this is that some subconscious belief I had held on to was no longer there. Because I wasn't judging myself. Like, I can't even tell you. It was just like, my entire worldview had changed, and it happened without me doing any work, and it was very unnerving. But the result of that, before I understood what had changed specifically, is I no longer cared about having an acting career. This is something I had dedicated tons of money, tons of time, had been humiliated for over and over and over again, for 14 years. It was my identity. And I didn't want it anymore. And I didn't understand that. Well, it turns out that what had changed was that, and this is the part I hate sharing, was that before I lost my finger, in the deepest part of my brain, I did not believe that I was lovable, that I was worthy of love. I can't. Which embarrasses me, you guys, because that's the cliche of an actor, right? Like, actors act because they want attention and they don't feel loved. And like, I was so fucking blind to the fact that was me. So blind. It's okay. But that's the truth. And then I lost my finger, and what happened is I saw an overwhelming amount of evidence that I was loved. My friends were just profoundly awesome. My family was amazing. My husband was like out of this world. And like, it just like clicked that, like it erased that old gross negative belief that my subconscious had been holding on to, and replaced it with that I am loved. And I didn't want to act anymore. And that change is what, like, I had to let my old life go, and I had to find my new life. And it's been like 5 years, or yeah, I think maybe 5 years now. But that has brought me here. Yes, Beyond Repair, thank you. Actors are only human. I know. But I thought I was superhuman. I did not know that was my problem. Yay, the Mrs. Scott Evans, thank you. But yeah, if it hadn't been for that traumatic experience, and if I hadn't been open to changing from it and to finding the meaning out of it, I would never have had that insight, and I would never be here. I would never have the new career. I wouldn't be driven to, create unstoppable heroes and, all the stuff that I'm doing now. So I hope that was worth it, that was a worthwhile share. Also, I talk about it all the time because when I'm gaming, I suck. Because this is the hand that on the games I like to play are responsible for like moving, like all the role-playing games. I have an orb weaver where I can like key certain movements to, but it's not very good. Not very good. Like I'm always going to be a handicapped gamer, guys. Sorry. It's true. Oh, Upright Oracle, thank you. I am awesome on some days. So that is well, that's kind of like the gist of what I had to say about meaning today. So does anybody have questions? Like what I would love to know some of the things right now in your life that give you meaning.